All right, ladies and gentlemen, Hoop Talk is back. We got ourselves a special guest this time. Everybody say hi to Asante. Asante, say hi to the people.
Wagwan
Hi,
Utes.
Asante.
Right.
Asante is one of our long-lasting basketball aficionados that we've kept around for years now. Try to bring him apart to a bunch of things: fantasy leagues, content, discords, everything that we can possibly fathom. He's one of our favorite people to debate with when it comes to basketball. He had an interesting take in our fantasy basketball group chat,
To say the
and
least. To
and
say
it
the
sparked
least.
I
an
was on I
interesting.
was on one that night in defense of my egregious terms and statements. A few of those are exaggerated, but I got a lot of truth today.
All right, well, that sparked some interest in me deciding for us to have a top 10 point guards of all time debate because I want the world to hear Asante's point of view here. And Orlando tends to have some crazy point of views as well. So I figured this is a perfect opportunity. Are the cops after you, Orlando? What am I seeing? Anybody see
What?
those red and blue lights?
Oh! I just got
They got him.
nothing. 2K.
Oh, I was about to
I was
say, like,
leaving
are
it.
they at your door right now? That would be
Bro,
crazy.
speaking of the fantasy
Nah, we're
league,
good. We're good.
somebody offered me
We're
Wimby and this nigga from the Hornets. I can't even remember who. So early in the season, but
LaMelo?
when no, Brandon Miller. This is right before Chet went down. As soon as Chet went down, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't open the app for probably like 2 months.
Oh, that would have been
Yeah,
crazy
I
if you
was
got
sick.
both of them. That would have been
Yeah,
crazy.
Because,
no,
yeah,
dude,
it would be even
it's
worse.
so crazy. I rejected. I'm like, no way. You know what I'm saying? My team is stacked. I'll be good. I can figure it out later. And then for Wimby to go out 17 weeks or some shit, and then for me to see Wimby go out for the rest of the season, yeah, I don't know. I didn't dodge a bullet, but I definitely didn't take two.
I like it.
Who did you? Oh, Chet. Chet is back though. You have Chet.
Yeah, he's back. Yeah, I got Chet. I had Kate Cunningham and Donovan Mitchell. Donovan, the team is so good. He doesn't have to be a fantasy, goat right now.
He
And
he
and
does. You
He's
drafted
a
him with
really
your
good
first
scorer.
pick. He does have to be a
listen,
fantasy goat.
It was kind of
Oh,
wild
that
that we
was
saw
I
his
him
didn't
go
listen.
first.
I
That
against
was
didn't
the
the.
expect this.
first pick.
First pick,
I
Orlando.
didn't
Well, I'm
expect
not
this.
Well, no,
even
no, no.
that
Wait, not the
crazy.
first overall. His first
God
round pick. His first
damn.
round pick.
But he was
This
higher
was
up. He was not low on the list. He was like
Oh,
Nah,
six.
so
I
like,
was definitely
what was
I
his
think I was
pick?
like pick 7. Okay, one,
That's
and I didn't
high as
expect
fuck. That is high as
I
fuck.
didn't expect this decrease in efficiency, bro. Like I can't even be mad because the Cavs are playing good. And I think you pointed out a fact the other day of him being as much or him having as high of a usage rate as Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I need to see the numbers on that because there's no fucking way.
There is. There is. Um, but all right, that's enough
Ah,
of that.
okay.
We got our top 10 point guards debate. We should do our next year's or this year's draft. We should do it on live on our podcast. That's what we should do.
I'm down.
I would
Um,
Yeah.
go back to
It's not going to come
a
back.
host form for that. I would go back right back to hosting for that one episode like I did at the beginning just for that.
Yeah.
yeah,
That would be
that
hilarious.
would be fun. But let's get into our top 10 point guards debate. I'm gonna go ahead and switch the camera out for everybody to see our list as we go. Um, I know you guys see it a little bit odd on your end, but don't worry, the viewers will be able to see it just clearly. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start with our number one choice.
Yeah,
Hey, wait,
let's
Nas.
do it.
While we go through this, when we go through our list, do we want to explain like our methodology at all? Like
Um,
why we
I'll,
made the list? We made the list.
Um, yeah, I say before you give your first pick, you just give a brief understanding of your logic behind it. Um, but everybody's probably gonna have to defend a lot of their picks throughout this video. So
Yeah.
don't explain too much because there will be a point where you will have to defend yourself because you're gonna have a crazy idea. Um, but I'll go first and I'll explain my logic. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of how I view all players. I'm kind of combining multiple things. I'm not concerned with your personal ability to play the position because I don't believe in that anymore. Basketball has evolved to a point where you don't need to play a position the way that it was designed 50 years ago. I think that's unfair to a
Yep.
lot of players. Um, Curry is a different point guard than Magic Johnson, but just because Magic Johnson is a better, you know, traditional point guard does not mean that he is automatically better than Stephen Curry. So I
Yep.
took a lot of things into consideration. I'm looking at you as a player, how you play the position, how effective you were doing that. what results you got out of that, your accolades, your accomplishments, your rewards. I took a lot into consideration. It's not just a simple, dry decision making process here.
I can agree with that. I would say on like a 10-point scale, where would you rate that as far as like how do you scale the necessity of playing that traditional role? Is it like a 2?
Like 1 out of 10, very low.
Yeah.
Like under
Okay.
under 4 easily. I don't
Okay.
care if you are a great point guard traditionally. I just care if you were great, however you chose to play the position. If that makes sense.
Same.
Absolutely.
Because if we're judging you on your ability to play the position, Stephen Curry is a very questionable point guard. He's very obvious he should be a shooting guard. He's
They're
just,
shooting guard. Yeah.
he just does not play the point guard position in a way where he is, creating something for his teammates traditionally. He creates stuff for his teammates in a whole different way. But yeah, no, that's how I go about it, and then you guys can explain yours. But my number one pick is going to be Magic Johnson. I still believe Magic Johnson is the greatest point guard of all time.
Nice, I like that.
I also have Magic Johnson, and I believe that they're interchangeable though. I don't think the same way as Nas.
I think they're interchangeable as well. I don't have any argument against him being not number one. I have an argument with anybody else being number one. That's what I'll have an argument with. But go ahead. What about you, Pluto?
I am gonna go with Stephen Wardell Curry or Wardell Stephen Curry for sure. Number one.
That's not terrible. That's not where I'm gonna waste my energy debating. That's not a terrible thing.
Asante's already laughing. I'm so worried about his number.
Hey yo, the last 7 or the last 4 are gonna get turned. I'm not gonna lie.
For real. I already told Nas that. That's what we were talking about earlier. The last 4 are gonna be crazy.
Who's your number one pick? Or Asante?
Yeah, I gotta go Steph on this too, man. I think he had a really good set of keys. Magic had a great set of keys, though. He did a little bit more winning, but I don't think he did. I don't think he did enough winning to separate the skill level or impact that they have from their positions. Like I feel like the Lakers were still really good without having one of the greatest of all time level point guards. The Warriors, they're fighting for bottom seed without Stephen Curry on any given day.
I understand.
I don't think the Lakers win anything without Magic.
Yeah, I agree. So we're split in the middle here, 50-50. Even though I'm not against Stephen Curry being number one, I'm curious because the way I view it, I understand everything Stephen Curry has done, but here's my thing that I think a lot of people are over-exaggerating. His accomplishments from the three-point line aren't specific to his ability to be better than everybody else because that's a very specific skill set. You know what I mean? So, like, he is...
But hold on. That's a specific skill set that changed the NBA. He changed the NBA. He changed basketball. He has little kids pulling up from the half-court line.
But you didn't let me finish my point, though.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I agree with that.
You can't just say the three-point shooting is not a big thing.
No. I didn't just say that. I didn't just say that.
I get what you're saying.
I didn't just say that. You cut me off. My point is he did. However, and I hate myself for wording it this way because I am a huge believer of Stephen Curry, and I get it. I understand why he could be the number one. But his three-point shooting, no matter how astronomical and legendary it may be, still put him short of one less MVP than one less MVP than Magic Johnson, one less championship than Magic Johnson, 2 less Finals MVPs than Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson led the league in assists, steals. He is a what do you want to call it?
All defensive point guard.
And that's exactly what I was trying to say.
Steph Curry has none of those.
He's an all defensive point guard.
Did he get Rookie of the Year too?
He got Rookie of the Year. No, I think
Curry
Bird
has
got Rookie of the Year.
Steals at one point. He led the league in steals at one point.
That's fine. One less time than Magic Johnson, right? So my thing is, we view these things, and I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm trying to open your mind to a different perspective. We view these things as legendary, and they are. That's no doubt. But did they move the needle for him? career-wise compared to Magic Johnson, I don't believe they did.
I can agree with you on his career numbers not being anything even impressive. I'm not gonna lie. Outside of the 3-point category, his career numbers aren't very impressive. What I think where I just see Steph in a better light is I hate using this term too because it's a little generalized, but the impact from that position, given the context of their teams, like the Lakers, if you put in another good point guard that can pass, like I said, that's still a pretty good team. Maybe they don't have as many rings that, maybe they're not dynasty level, but that's even that's arguable because it's not like there were other teams in the West that were just like, imminent threat. I feel like Steph Curry, without him being exactly that, the Warriors team, I mean, they probably don't win one ring. I think the position nowadays, the point guard position in itself, already has so many studs that I think Magic Johnson, his attrition over 5 years is nothing compared to what I think Steph Curry goes through.
Without Magic Johnson, Larry Bird would have 9 championships right now, 8, 7, whatever the math is. Without Magic Johnson,
he would be the undisputed GOAT.
Without Magic Johnson, Larry Bird would have completely dominated the 80s. That he was the difference maker. Showtime happened because of Magic Johnson. It did not happen because of anybody else. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's career started dwindling down because he had to adjust to the play style of Magic Johnson. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had to adjust to the play style of Magic Johnson. When was Magic Johnson ever not the best player
Kareem
on
was
his team?
also at the last leg of his career.
That's fine. It's not about Kareem. When was Magic
No,
Johnson?
no, it wasn't about Kareem. You made it about Kareem. I didn't make it about Kareem.
Yeah, it matters.
You're only giving him an argument. Wait, really quick. You're giving him an argument. Earlier,
What?
we said, because he was saying that the Lakers were not as good. They were as good because of Magic. If you're saying that Kareem was dwindling down, he's on the later stage of his career, you're only helping him.
Yeah, but I don't think
James Worthy the next year.
Come on, like they were still a contending team. Yeah, they're still a contending
team. They do not win any
also,
championships with James Worthy as their best player. Stop.
In the NBA at the time.
Yeah,
there
but
were close to like 15 to 20 teams in the NBA.
It's not like they're going to be fucking. They're not going to be 9th team. They're definitely making the playoffs. They're definitely at least get to the first round.
That's fine.
Every team's making the playoffs.
I 100% agree. But we didn't let me finish my question. I know you guys heard half of the question. That's why you tried to change the subject because you don't want to answer the question that I'm about to ask. When was Magic Johnson ever not the best player on his team?
I don't think that's credit to Magic Johnson.
What? What?
No. He can be the best player. But
being the best player on your team is not credit to yourself.
I'm not saying like. I just don't think that holds as much of a weight on a scale as compared to like what Stephen Curry meant to his team.
Stephen Curry has 2 championships because they added Kevin Durant to the equation, or else he would only have 2 right now.
Like I said, I think the battle of the point guard in today's game is. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
it's just the battle of the point guard in today's game is so much more. It matters so much more than I think it did back then. Magic Johnson's going against like maybe a handful of dudes on a night-to-night basis. That's really making his job hard. His job. I don't think his job was just that. I don't think it was that hard.
There's not a lot of point guards that are even top 10 players at the time. Like the best players.
Right.
And on top of that, I mean, I'm not taking away.
And that's why it's crazy that he was a top 10 player.
Because he was also 6'9" and he was guarding those guys half the time. He's also
in
guarding
that time
they
wasn't switching like that like they do nowadays.
So yeah. I hold Magic Johnson in the same row. I hold Ben Simmons. I hold LeBron James. They're unicorns. It's hard to measure someone against someone who can do everything on the court damn near. You can't like he's someone you make on 2K. That is something you make on 2K, right? So that's why.
Do you have Magic on your list?
Huh?
Of course.
Yeah, he's number 2.
Magic on your list.
He's number 2.
I was going to say that's my number 2.
My list prior to this was about to be diabolical. I had a conference with Nas before this, and Nas was like, "No, you cannot do it that way." Because boy, we're about to see some crazy shit on here. But I reverted back
You
to
had me kind of worried that you didn't have
realistic
Magic the way you were describing him. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, I'm just the thing about Magic that it's just he wasn't fair. He wasn't fair. He just wasn't fair. He was
Even
some
Steph
light years
Curry, he has a
And
fast
Curry
break
is
I've
he
never
shoots
seen.
62% from the half court line.
That's the evolution of the game. What I don't like is the coaching. So back then in the league, they were still feeding Magic Johnson point guards, bro. They were still feeding him small shooting guards. They weren't feeding him, you know what I'm saying, they're four. They weren't
another
feeding
6'8"
Magic
guy
five.
who could move like him. Yeah.
Nah.
There was no defender for
Stephen
him.
Curry
There was
is getting fed
for him.
the 17th man. Anybody who could breathe right now, go to Stephen Curry.
The best wing defender or the best perimeter defender on your team usually is shadowing
every
Stephen Curry.
single night.
Magic Johnson is not getting the best player. You know who was? James Worthy. You know who was? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Those were getting the best defenders. That's why they were going against Boston, and that's where Magic Johnson does come into play.
But why would Larry
he's number
be
2 on my list.
Johnson, we saw
Larry's not the best defender on Boston. Kevin McHale was. Kevin McHale was the best defender.
Oh my God, Kevin McHale doesn't get
Magic Johnson.
No. Okay, so
neither was Larry Bird.
I mean, arguably nobody was quick enough to stop a Magic Johnson. I just don't think that it helps. I don't think it helps this dude that, you know what I'm saying, the opposing point guard's 5'8" at best, 120 pounds. This dude is
he's damn near Victor Wembanyama of the 70s.
Nobody in the 80s was 5'8". We're not talking about the Bill Russell days. Like nobody in the 80s. Like yes, they weren't as tall as Magic Johnson. I understand that point, of course. But like 5'8", at least you could have said 5'11" or 6 foot. Like,
hold on, who was the Celtics starting point guard that year?
Robert Perry.
Let's not waste all our energy on this one, because at the very least, we all can agree that they're interchangeable, right? Is anybody against the idea that they're interchangeable?
No, I don't think so. I think that's where the conversation
on their list. Please.
No, everybody.
Yeah, everybody. So everybody's second pick is the other, right? If it's not Magic, it's Steph, and if it's not Steph, it's Magic, right? Everybody's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
correct.
All right. I just wanted to open your minds to a different perspective, and it doesn't seem like you were willing to listen. So let's move on to the next one.
Change the NBA. Change the NBA.
I'll go. Well, Magic Johnson also did, but that's fine. Let's move on to the next one. Let's talk about our third pick. Then let's move on to the next one. I have Oscar Robertson as my third best point guard of all time.
Wow.
I'll explain my methodology real quick for this one, and then we can go into arguments. So I primarily looked at overall success, accomplishments, unattainable goals or records that people could not attain, MVPs, things like that. So my pick is also Oscar Robertson. And the reason I did this is because I looked back. Me and Nas had an argument about point guards and like Jerry West. There was no better point guard at that time than Big O. Like without a doubt, he destroyed the 60s and 70s. That dude was a monster.
The reason it's so hard for me to really scale these guys in the 50s, 60s, and even really the 70s. I mean, all the way up to like at least 1985 is. The expansion of the NBA gave us more freaks and more scrubs.
Yeah.
So I think that he's one of the first few freaks. Like everything he did is gonna look a little weird. Like I was looking at foul calls. I was watching I watched game 1 of the 1985 playoff series or playoffs. Like literally game 1 teams whatever. And the foul calling back then was so different compared to nowadays that I could imagine how he could have got to some of his stats based on other rules, like other ways about the game that were just so different that, because now you got the first unicorn.
Too, though.
Man, you say he was not?
He was big. No, he was.
Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? You factor in something like that. It's kind of hard for me to credit it when there hasn't been a layer of rules or a layer of unicorns that came before you that makes it a little bit harder for the next one.
Yeah,
I
that's
understand
exactly
that,
what I
but
said about
I
Magic
also talk
Johnson
about
earlier.
accomplishments, unbreakable goals. He was the first point guard to average a triple double, and he was a unicorn at the time, and I believe he deserves credit for that. Like,
I think
just
it's giving
Yeah,
my
because
but I
he
lack
don't
was
of
think it's
better than the
knowledge.
other
top 3
people,
credit.
I wouldn't discredit him.
Yeah, I don't think it's top 3 credit though.
Oh no.
That's just I'm gonna go Isaiah. I'm gonna go Isaiah Thomas right here, the Admiral,
All right.
the guy who gets.
This is high.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
This is pretty high.
You're gonna be shocked when
Y'all
I see
trip.
it.
You better
when
go
I admit.
watch. Y'all gotta go watch that Linden. He beat your
Better
boy
go
in the
watch
finals.
film.
He beat your boy.
Hey,
Your boy.
right.
He beat your boy in the finals.
You might as well
Your
go
boy,
ahead and
Magic
double down
Johnson.
for me because I'm
Whoop-de-doo.
got Isaiah Thomas too.
Yeah, you're tripping. IT, the original IT.
Zeke is good.
He-
Don't get me
Real
wrong.
point guard.
He's not bad.
So for some
But,
reason,
like,
we have
I-
this weird recollection of history from like 1979 and 1989 or 1999 even, that Magic and Bird kind of just completely built brick
For the
by brick
league.
the NBA. Yeah, they were just the pinnacle of the universe at some time.
Right,
But there's one
right.
motherfucker in between all that don't get a whole lot of mention for whatever reason. Maybe it's because he was a Jordan hater, and so his post-career media wasn't too good. But Isaiah Thomas beat both of them.
Both of them.
And has two
Kobe
championships.
came in-
And has 2 championships. What they do?
Okay, so
What they do?
this is
Also
part
at
of
the
my
end of the
argument that I
run,
have for
some
people about like
unicorns.
Kawhi. People don't like, or
unicorns.
people hold his ring as part of the top 5 hardest rings of all time. People take Dirk's ring, top 5 hardest rings of all time. But Isaiah Thomas rings are now all of a sudden unimpressive when arguably 2 of the greatest people of their time and the next time he beat both of them.
But
And I think
that-
He
it
beat
was
the number
close to
1 point guard on your list.
But that's
Right.
fine. A lot of people beat LeBron. That doesn't make them better than LeBron. That doesn't make any
But a
sense.
lot of
My
people
point.
haven't beat
Nah,
Magic
but it
Johnson
gives
in
them
the
a lot of
finals,
credit though. They get a lot.
Yeah.
Yo,
But he
Kawhi
does
Leonard is
deserve
held
credit.
so
No, he does
high.
deserve credit. My point is the amount of credit, like the value of that credit for you guys
It's
is
too
way
high.
too excessive. Way too excessive. He
He was
doesn't
the
I
best
have
player on
the
think
his
if we weren't
individual.
considering.
He doesn't have the
If we weren't
individual
considering-
career to
go ahead.
compare to some of the other point guards. My bad. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you good. If we weren't considering Stephen Curry one of the greatest point guards of our time, if we weren't considering the Warriors to be one of the best franchises of our time, the Kawhi Leonard ring would have been a snooze fest, and we wouldn't care, and Kawhi Leonard wouldn't be that high up the list as far as good players, unstoppable men. So I can't give you that, bro, because Kawhi Leonard, because he got those rings against those guys, against all that context, is what makes him so good. So I think that same respect of the context of the people he's beating and the time that he's beating them adds to his factor.
It does add to
I
his
do
factor, which
think-
is what makes him a
He's
top
also
10
lost
player.
them twice.
Right.
Forget.
So
He
it
also lost
does
them
make him a
twice.
top 10 player. I have him on my top 10 list. I want to make sure we're clear on that. I don't
For
believe.
sure.
No, we get that. We get that.
I don't believe him beating Magic Johnson or Larry Bird is what turns him into a top 3 point guard of all time, because that is only one very small portion of his entire career. We are judging these players off of their entire careers, off of the entire output of what they did. And he had a 3 to 4, possibly 5-year stretch where he was a phenomenal point guard in this league. Magic Johnson and Stephen Curry were the best point guard in the NBA for a 12 to 15-year stretch of their career. Magic Johnson less because he played in a different era. You know, they
There's-
didn't play that long.
There's
was
not a lot of
never
guys
MVP.
like that, though. There's not a lot of guys like that, though. There's not a lot.
Yeah,
of
there
guys.
is.
Isaiah was
Oscar
never
Robertson.
MVP.
There is. Oscar Robertson is actually a guy like that.
No. With the NBA evolution of Magic Johnson and beyond, there's not a lot of guys like that. There's not.
Yeah, I can't
think of
do
a lot of guys who were the best
Big
player in
O's
their
gonna be
position
hard
for
for
10
me.
years. Yeah, I can't do it either. Like I think
I
Russell
don't. I
Westbrook's
don't believe
gonna be
Isaiah
big.
Thomas is. I don't believe.
I don't even, I was
Isaiah
gonna say, I
Thomas-
don't even think. Go ahead.
I don't believe
But
Isaiah
Isaiah
Thomas
Thomas
is.
was never even an MVP though. We're comparing him to MVPs right now, and he wasn't one of those.
Yeah, I don't believe we can hold that much
Why?
of a standard for him because of a momentary lapse in his career where he beat Magic Johnson or he beat Larry Bird. Like, that's great, but there's no way that's enough to lift him over some of
He
these
beat
point
up
guards.
Michael Jordan too.
Yeah,
Right,
Michael
right.
Jordan was
Michael
nobody.
Jordan was.
Michael Jordan was nobody. What are you talking about? Michael
hold
Jordan
on.
did not
80s
have.
Michael Jordan, 90s Michael
Bro,
Jordan
hold
are
on,
two different
hold on,
Bro,
players.
hold
those
on.
It was
teams.
him
I
when
would
he
say
kept the
80s,
lead.
90s.
Bro,
This
80s Michael.
MJPR is crazy.
80s Michael Jordan. If he didn't lose to the Pistons, he was gonna lose to the Celtics. What do you mean? Like, it's like what?
Yes, that is
Listen,
also true.
without
But
the
guess what? He didn't beat the Pistons. Not one time.
Without
That's
the
fine. He's not on
Pistons,
this
there's
list.
no Scottie
He's
Pippens.
not one of. He's not
Without
one
the
of my top
Pistons,
10
no
point guards of all
Scottie
time. So there you go. You guys are right.
Pippens.
Like Michael Jordan has nothing to do with this debate. Like the point
No,
is,
I'm just giving you more goats that he beat. Like more people that he
bro,
beat.
we
You want
can't
me to
have
give you,
debates with
like,
no
more
context.
people?
Then they're not debates anymore. If we're gonna remove all the
What?
context, then it doesn't matter anymore. Then if we're gonna remove Michael Jordan in the 80s, I can't even
He
name
was
a
the-
Well, if
team.
we're talking
I
about
can't
that,
even think
then
of
Kyrie
three
should be, like,
teammates he
number
had.
3.
I can't even think of 3 teammates he had.
That
2.
doesn't stop
I
him from
can't think
being
of
Michael
2.
Jordan.
Wait,
Who was their
quick
coach?
question. Why is Kyrie not your number 3 if he beats Steph, the number 1 point guard?
Well, I was gonna.
That's
You
not-
said
okay, now
somebody
you're
said
gonna do
something
if we're gonna do
earlier.
Oh
apples
God, you
awards,
started something crazy.
Somebody
Tyler.
said something earlier.
Yeah, let's not do this. Let's
Oh,
just
God.
chill.
When they were
Let's
saying
chill, Tyler.
about
Let's
like
chill.
giving Magic and Big O and guys like that, that's been the star stud for like a decade straight. I don't think Steph Curry's been the best point guard for a decade straight.
Yeah, that's why he's interchangeable. That's why 1 or 2 is
For sure.
fine.
Well, I guess
Steph
that
Curry's
leaves
the only one I
us.
wouldn't argue that much about.
Listen, my
Number
thought
4.
process here at the end of the day is I'm not judging you in comparison to other eras because that makes no sense. I'm not willing to bet my money here. If we had a time machine and we put Stephen Curry in the 80s, that he's gonna be Stephen Curry. I would not put my money on that. The league was way different. Basketball was played way different. I cannot bet my money that Stephen Curry is gonna go out there and be a legend the way that he was in this era. Because the
You
era
can say
is
that goes both ways.
Exactly. That's exactly the point that I'm trying to make. That's why eras don't matter to me. I don't care who was who at what time. I only care about when you were playing basketball. How great was your performance as a basketball
With that
player?
being
Whipping the
said,
boys.
Isaiah Thomas was whooping all of them niggas his
The
whole time
East
he was in
came
the
through
league.
Detroit for like almost 4 to 5 years. That's pretty dope.
Probably
In that
They
longer.
era.
only beat Boston
pretty dope.
3 times in a decade. 3 times. Boston beat him 3 times as well. They were not in the playoffs until like the 86.
And we're acting like this Pistons.
people
We're acting
nobody
like this
else was.
Pistons team wasn't a phenomenal team too. Like it wasn't just Isaiah Thomas just carrying them on
Joe
his back.
Dumars.
Like,
Deadly.
Those were great teams.
Bro, he still had more of a job every night than Magic. Are you kidding me? Magic was walking around with freaks.
Joe Dumars, you're talking about one of the best defensive teams the NBA has ever seen.
You're talking
What about
about
Dennis
people that are
Rodman?
considered the greatest of all time. Like people put Will and Kareem as part of the greatest of all time conversations. Joe Dumars will never be a part of that conversation.
Yeah, you're right, but he was
That was
still
like
great
the
for his
same
time.
Will to Kareem.
That doesn't change the fact that he was.
Yeah,
great.
he was an all-star in his time. He was. I gotta give it to him. He was a really good shooting guard at the time.
But listen, let's go to our fourth here. Everybody's list is already fucked up. All right. On my number 4 list,
Seems like you and Tyler built one together. That's what it seems like.
I think this is probably
It's
what we'll
crazy I'm not
start.
even talking to him.
No, facts. Me neither. What was I gonna say? On my 4th, I do believe my list can get a little wonky here, and I am willing to accept that I could be wrong starting now. But oh man, I might change my mind. I'm sorry. I'm actually gonna change my mind. I had somebody different.
Do you want me to go first?
No, I'm gonna go.
No. Stay true.
I thought this was heavily revised.
First of all,
Yeah,
Orlando
yeah,
just
yeah,
made his
yeah,
list
yeah.
2 hours ago. All right, so let's not do that. All right,
Well, I had to because the first one I would have got.
exactly.
You guys probably would have
Exactly.
kicked me off the podcast.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. I think these next 2 guys are relatively interchangeable. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I'll go ahead with and I'll even screenshot it and send it to y'all. I'll go ahead with my original pick. I have Jason Kidd as the 4th best point guard of all time.
Whoa.
That's high.
Hey,
Whoa,
Naz,
that's
you
high.
my kind of guy. You my kind of guy. You
It
my
is.
kind
Now
of
you're
guy.
having an Orlando take right now.
Oh no, it's not that crazy.
Work.
No, it's
That's not
definitely
that crazy.
All right.
Hey, he ain't that high
That's
for me, but that's
crazy
not
work.
that crazy. That boy,
I'm going to give you
wow.
guys a hot take
Word.
then. So, Mine is based off of the fact that from player testimonials, the players that we watch to this day, like Gary Payton, Michael Jordan, Karl Malone, like they say that he was this dude defensively. He has 2 unbeatable records so far statistically.
Oh yes,
Nobody
Tyler,
currently in the league is close.
We agree,
I
Tyler.
think
We agree.
Stockton is the
Yes,
fourth
sir.
best.
See, bro, that's not fair. That's not fair. I wanted to switch. I wanted to switch Stockton to my 4, man. You guys wouldn't let me. That's not fair. So me and Tyler's list
But you
is
didn't have
realistically
them
still the
originally.
same. I wanted to put Stockton at
It's
4.
crazy.
I did want to. Y'all just
I
wouldn't let me.
got Stockton.
Let me
Go
have
ahead.
that. Let me put him at 4. That's where I really want to put him.
Now that you
Go
gave
ahead,
your
go ahead.
take, go ahead, because now we know your reasoning at least.
Yeah, no, I do prefer John Stockton. I don't know why at the time I had decided on Jason Kidd. I don't actually know why, but I do think John Stockton is higher all time. I do believe that.
So my reasoning behind John Stockton is literally because there's no way I could have the number 1 assist point guard ever, the number 1 passer ever in the NBA, not in my top 5 at a point guard position where the original use of a point guard was to initiate offense. So I definitely got John Stockton on
Hayden
there.
said he's a better defender than him too. Hayden always says he's a better defender than him.
Yeah, and also like the one thing I am gonna say though that I heard recently, I heard a lot of those stats are a little padded, but you know, we'll talk about that later. There's a conspiracy theory.
All
about
stats
that.
are padded, man. You're a better, they be fucking up these stats.
No.
Almost
Like some of his
everything.
stats are.
I know. It's
actually
okay. It's
real.
okay.
Like,
We're gonna get into that.
I think I'm gonna start with the first nasty take of the day. Give me Kyrie Irving.
Oh golly,
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry.
golly.
I
We're
can't
talking
The
about.
next one, you're gonna hate Asante. I can
We're
tell.
talking.
You're gonna bro, get it started.
We're talking about Jason
Jesus
Kidd. We're talking
Christ.
about Jason Kidd is too high. Y'all just gonna move past the fact that he just said Kyrie Irving.
No, we're not.
But Kyrie
Nah,
hasn't made
it-
the championship.
Kyrie Irving's
Yo,
not in my top 10.
Cook me up.
Kyrie Irving's
Yeah,
not
I
in my
don't-
top 10.
Kyrie Irving's not in my
You
top
guys
10.
are-
He has nothing to
Why?
his name. He has nothing to his name. He's a champion
The
that he won
greatest
with
shot in
LeBron.
history.
He has a championship that he won with LeBron, and he has some All Stars and some All NBAs, and that's it. Like he's
he
not an
also
all time
has-
great.
He
I'm
also
not gonna
is
lie.
probably. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say he's probably easily the most unguardable player that we'll put on this list.
That's fine.
I
mean, he's
I-
not-
I
That's
take
enough
it
for
for all
me.
that too.
Where did that
John
take
I
us?
was
Stockton's
on
that
stats-
too.
But I don't
If
disagree.
if John Stockton's stats, him being one in one category and one in the other category, important point guard categories, if the context there matters, I think the context of being the most unstoppable offensive point guard of all time it matters. Like there's nothing you can't write up a game plan for it. So anytime that you play them, you're likely to lose. Anytime that Kyrie Irving's lost, his team was ass. I mean, outside of like obviously Cleveland days, but I'm talking about Cleveland LeBron stint too. A Celtics stint.
I can agree
mean,
with
he
him.
was playing
I
with
was-
rookies. He was playing with
Yeah,
rookies.
I was-
So anytime that
Yeah,
Kyrie
I was
lost,
down
and
on
then
him for a
man, the Nets blew up because Kyrie got hurt. That was actually the turning point in the series
I
when Kyrie
said
got
that
hurt.
last week. I was
Yeah,
okay,
they were
so
they were
I'm happy
they were
Asante's here because he's a nut. He's a nut. Like
Absolutely.
I
You
said the
think
same
Kyrie
thing
is better
last
than
week.
CP3?
I think
what?
yo,
No, let's
I cannot
save
wait.
that for when it gets here. Let's save that for when it gets
Please.
here.
Let's come
Please.
back.
parking lot that shit. But yes, Kyrie Irving parking. I got
Don't worry, we
Kyrie
don't gotta
Irving at
wait
big
too
four,
long.
bro.
I promise. We
Number-
don't gotta wait.
My
Number
only thing
4
with
is
Kyrie
crazy.
Irving. Oh yeah, but my only thing with Kyrie Irving is just to give you a pushback because I also agree with the pod guys. I'm not gonna lie, he's not on my list. But he's not on my list because I view Kyrie Irving as a combo guard. I don't really view Kyrie Irving.
This
as
might be a
point
big
guard.
hang up
Oh,
on
you
my
are a
list. Too.
terrorist.
Yeah, because
You're a
I see
terrorist,
Kyrie
bro.
Irving. He's a shooter first mentality, man. Like at least Steph Curry can initiate it. I just feel like Kyrie Irving's like the guy you give the ball to when there's 5 seconds left, make something happen. He's like a playmaker. So it's just like I don't know, a shot creator. My bad, a shot creator.
If you
So I
can't
just-
be the
I-
best
I
player
don't know
on your
that.
team and succeed, then you're not a top 10 all time at your position. plain and simple.
Succeed as in the chip, correct?
And he's never
Win
been that.
win.
He's never been that.
As the best player on his team, he cannot win games. He cannot.
Kyrie Irving made it to the Eastern Conference Finals with rookies, bro.
Barely.
The only reason he lost the other Eastern Conference Finals was again because he got hurt.
Kyrie Irving got carried to success at the Celtics. Do you remember those series? You think Kyrie Irving had good playoff series when he was in the Celtics?
Carried is wild.
Come on.
He averaged.
Listen, one of my
25
favorite
points per game.
I think Tyler's about to say it. Go ahead.
Kyrie went 6 for 18. And yeah.
He averaged over 25 points
Kyrie
per
went
game.
6 for 18, and we were joking when he said that he would never do that again. And then he went 7 for 19, and then he went 8 for 21. Like he just kept doing worse and worse.
I want to add more context to that, though. He averaged over 22 points a night while being the focal center of a developed NBA's scouting report. So it looks bad, but contextually speaking, he's on the top of he's literally 1 through 9 out of a 10 point list for the scouting report every single night.
You know what Kyrie Irving needed to be successful in Boston? He needed a better player than him.
Man.
Fuck no. He needed size under the rim, bro. He needed rebounding. All their bigs were young.
Al Horford is young now, ladies and gentlemen. The oldest man.
You said one person.
What the hell? He was their starting center.
Because he's right. Nas, you're right, Nas. I'm going to give you that because the thing about Kyrie Irving, though, like if this was a list when it comes to like the best offensive player, he'll be top 3. He maybe top 3. But what this list is about like best point guards, and like point guards are winners. And Kyrie has been a winner but one time, and who he won with is arguably the best player to ever step on the court on earth. So I just can't. These point guards on our list, the ones we've named, they were the best players on their team who have won. And some of the ones we'll keep naming from this moment on who haven't won, we're still the best players on their team to almost win. Kyrie's never really been the best player on his team by a landslide, and he's always had some type of generational player, not saying carried him, but we can work off. I think Kyrie's could low-key go down as one of the best Robins ever, but that's also probably an argument for some other people as well. But I just don't see Kyrie on this list just because of that fact that he doesn't have it. Like, he has it offensively, but he's not the guy that it goes through. And this list is the guys that it went through. Like,
Kyrie Irving's been the second best player on every team he's ever played for, except the early Cleveland team. That doesn't count. We know that doesn't count. Those years were terrible.
He was the second best player on the Nets?
Yes.
I don't think he's the second best player on the Nets. I don't think he's the second.
KD?
I think it was still James Harden.
Hitting shit.
No, I
think it was KD.
I don't want to debate about James Harden, but I think at the very least he's not the second for sure. I'm sorry, he's not the first for sure. Kevin Durant was the best player on that team.
He was. He took them to the Eastern Conference Final. Like, yeah, hell yeah.
Okay. Oh man, I can't agree with that, you guys. I can't agree with that. I can't do it. I can't do it. Like,
I usually don't agree with these guys either, so Assante.
Yeah, I just have to have the first egregious thing of the day, Lo. I'm just gonna have to. It's just gonna have to be that.
That shit sucks. I know.
You're gonna hate the next one that comes out. I promise you're not gonna like the next one.
Yeah, we're screwed from here. We're screwed from here, fellas.
Well, let's go to number 5. I have Jason Kidd as my 5th best point guard of all time.
That's not bad.
And I have Sir Christopher Paul III.
Man, Tyler. Me and Tyler made our list together. I got Cliff Paul.
Hey, yo. You got the most plagued point guard of all of history, bro. That dude is cursed, bro. You need a pot of gold, rocks, frogs, dragon head.
Kyrie is blasphemous. Kyrie's been through everything worse than Chris Paul. The only thing is, Chris Paul has never had a LeBron to win a championship.
In his prime. in his prime.
If Chris Paul is cursed, Kyrie Irving made a deal with the devil, and the devil chose not to hold his end of the bargain.
He got a chip. He got a trip. If anybody's making deals here, bro, it's Chris Paul. Nobody has played against as many All-Stars as Chris Paul, not even LeBron James. This person that's known for recruiting players.
Wait, what? Wait.
Yes, Chris Paul has played. He had a championship coach, a championship winning small forward. He had Sixth Man of the Year. He had Defensive Player of the Year for like 3 years in a row. I think Blake Griffin came like top 5 in MVP votes 3 years in a row. That dude's teams were absolutely stacked. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Because then he goes to Phoenix.
By your standards, LeBron played with the 4th best point guard of all time. What are you saying? By your standards. Like what? He played with Dwayne Wade. He played with Chris Bosh, Anthony Davis, Luka Doncic. Like what?
We can name Chris Paul too. Chris Paul has just as much insane players that he's played against. What I'm saying,
not just as much.
Paul Pierce was closer to his championship ring and season than Gary Payton was to a 20-point game. That in his, Chris Paul has played. He never played with like a scrub version. He never played with a scrub version of a star. Chris Paul had everybody in a healthy season, healthy year, and everybody that he was playing with is just coming off crazy wins. When he went to Phoenix, he just played with Kevin Durant.
But Chris Paul himself was not healthy.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
that's a fact.
That's facts. That's facts, though.
Didn't he go down against the Warriors when they had them?
Yeah,
they had them beat.
That's my pinpoint. Yeah, that's my pinpoint right there.
Did he go down? Or did he get crossed the fuck up? No, he got crossed the fuck up.
He went down. Why he went down is all semantics, but he went down. Right?
Semantics. He got killed.
He was hurt. I got Chris Paul as number 5 on my list.
Jesus.
All right, who do you got?
I'm sorry, brother.
Who do you got number 5?
Number 5, give me Steve Nash.
I respect it.
I can respect that.
Steve Nash with Chris Paul is wild, though.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, but he has.
It's wild because he don't got the accolades, man. Chris Paul doesn't have nothing to show for him being, I guess, this number 5th point guard of all time. This number 5th point guard of all time was arguably the best point guard of all time. And in an era where the point guard was growing, it was more efficient, more effective. I don't know how he got these bullshit ass back-to-backs, but he got them. And he got them against arguably peak LeBron, peak Kobe, damn near. So I don't know. Chris Paul hasn't even scratched the surface. Peak Shaq, peak Kobe, you know what I'm saying? A prime version, a career of LeBron. And then he got his MVPs in the West. I think he went to did he go to the, I don't think he went to the finals, but he definitely went to the Western Conference Finals like 2, if not 3 times. And it's in a time where the West was like the heavyweight of the entire league.
I don't think he should be this high, but I'm not against it. I don't hate it at all. I don't believe he should be.
He's top 5 in assists. I think he's top 5 in or maybe top 15 in steals.
With CP3.
Yeah, I'd say he's interchangeable with CP3.
I'm not, but I can understand it. You know what I'm saying? If
I don't have
that next.
I don't have either of them. I don't have either of them this high in my list, though. I don't have either of them this high in my list. Huh?
No, Tyler, I'm going to finally give you an explanation of why I love offense so much. When I first started playing basketball, kind of tap in, my dad got out of prison. And that was, I think, early 2005, 2006, 2008, around that time. And the first team I ever got to watch play was the Suns. That's who was my introduction to what NBA is. Before Shaq and all those big players, I knew who they were, but I didn't watch basketball. So the Suns is who I watched. So it's funny because Steve is not – he's like low on my list, but he also is high on my personal list because of what he did when he was a damn near a mere mortal, when there was people like Shaq, Kobe. The league was so athletic at the time, and he won back-to-back MVPs. I could see definitely Chris Paul and Steve Nash being interchangeable, but they're both losers. They never won anything. So that's where they can
actually. Chris Paul's the only loser here. I just want to put that on the record. Steve Nash got some shit, bro. That's my point with that nigga, bro. He has nothing. He has nothing, bro. He has nothing.
It's like he had the script already in front of him, and he was just waiting for his moment for you to finish your sentence so he could go ahead.
Actually,
but my point
God.
here is, I still think Chris Paul body of work for the longevity of the work is where Steve Nash is getting cut off. The longevity of being, even now to this day, of being a mentor, of being someone who's helped franchises change things around. Everywhere he goes, he changes teams positively. It's never a negative thing. Even the Spurs.
That's my fucking point with Chris. Bitch ass Paul, bro. Everything
you
he touched
You
breaks.
haven't been a Lakers fan long enough, so I would have to rebuttal that. He definitely negatively impacted the Lakers in many ways.
Well, no, I think.
And I'm just joking.
I'm happy that trade never happened. But no, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, Nas. That trade should have never happened anyways.
The same point you made with
They're
Steve
getting
Nash
for
is
him for
the same
nothing.
point I make with Chris Paul, bro. Like, everything he touches
I
turns
just
to
don't know,
blood.
but Chris Paul has done it longer and has given more players the ability to learn the NBA at a faster rate. Like, the Suns were progressively better as soon as he got there. They got 5 years better as soon as he got there. Oklahoma, you see what you're seeing of Oklahoma is residue of what Chris Paul gave Alexander. Another player is Devin Booker. A lot of his residue of his makeup of who he is, he's given to other players. So you see Chris Paul around the league, and he's been here for a long time. I can't say the same thing with Steve Nash. But I'm not mad at your Steve Nash take is because he was a mere mortal against gods at the time. Tim Duncan's, Shaq's, like he was a mere mortal. I remember watching those playoff games. Steve Nash has Band-Aids. No, Steve Nash has Band-Aids. He has a broken nose. He's still hitting clutch shots. Like, that's why I love offensive basketball is because of Steve Nash. And that kind of high-level basketball.
Steve Nash definitely deserves a lot of credit. I think he suffers through the same syndrome that, guys like Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewing went through. It's like they were just really good at the worst possible time to be good because the league was surrounded by players who are going to be recognized as the greatest players of all time. And Steve Nash just didn't have the firepower needed to beat those guys. And that can be viewed as a negative towards him, or that could be viewed as a positive. It all depends on your president. What am I trying to say? Preference. It all depends on your preference. Forgot I speak English.
I just think Chris Paul has. I don't know what more could you have possibly given him. Sure, he didn't have a Kobe Bryant, but it's not like he was surrounded by scrubs,
playoff
bro.
Run.
He had that and got whacked. He had that.
Those were early. You can't expect teams
early.
Yes, you can't expect teams to win championships.
Team.
You can't expect teams to win championships after the first year or two that they were to get put together. Like that doesn't happen commonly.
Not true.
That doesn't happen commonly.
And the fact that he does
it's a fair expectation
on every team, he does that on a lot of teams. He makes them championship mindset teams. He's done it for a while. I think
it's a fair and healthy because they weren't trading to rebuild. They were trading to win, and they did exactly that. They just lost. They lost to a team that we can't even really remember who their starting five was. Who was the starting five for the Rockets that year? We don't even know because it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter.
Harden, Chris Paul,
thank you, James Harden, and James Harden.
Dwight Howard.
Nah, Chris Paul had it, bro. Chris Paul had it all, bro.
I don't.
He had it all too many times.
Let's move on to our sixth pick, ladies and gentlemen. I got at number 6, and this is where I'm not going to have arguments. I'm not going to have debates. If you don't agree with me, I have nothing that I could possibly say to hold my own in an argument, so I'm just going to take the L. I'm going to put him on here.
Wow.
I'm going to put him on here, and if I got to take an L, I got to take an L. Ladies and gentlemen, my 6th best point guard of all time is Bob Cousy, and argue with your mammy.
What the fuck?
I got him at 8.
Argue with your mama. Argue with your mama. Don't argue with me. Do not argue with me.
My mom doesn't know who that is. Nobody
Cousy
knows who that is.
I'll teach you right now. So before Tyler
wait,
goes,
real quick. Pluto, what race was he?
He was like white. He was running black. I don't know. He looked mixed.
He was white or black. Listen, you want to know who Bob Cousy was? Bob Cousy is a Hall of Famer, a 13-time All-Star, led the league in assists 8 years, 6-time champion, 12-time All-NBA, 2-time All-Star MVP, the 1957 league MVP, NBA 75 member, and this other award I never heard of it. But other than that,
Who is his
that's
teammate?
who Bob Cousy was.
Who is his teammate?
Bill Russell. That's fine. That's
Oh,
fine.
okay, that makes sense. All right.
That's fine.
Come
Who's
on,
the Celtics?
like
Doesn't he have one of the most famous ever like radio lines, like Bob Cousy with the steal for the win or some shit like that? Like one of the most famous ever like captured lines ever. Was that him? Like Bob Cousy for the steal. You guys remember that?
again,
Or
I
am
have
just
a
on my own?
hard
I'm on my own.
time
I'm on my
scaling
own.
basketball that far back. I have a hard time scaling basketball that far back. I'm not
I
gonna lie.
respect it.
Like,
I respect it.
so
You're not gonna hear an argument from me. Tyler, go
100.
ahead.
I'm
Your
gonna
turn.
let it rock then.
Go ahead. I get it, bro.
Yeah,
I told you if I gotta
First,
take
I
the
got
L,
those
I'm gonna
big
take
up.
the L. I'm gonna take the L.
All right.
Bob
I got
Cousy. Wow.
What did you say, Tyler?
I got Zeke, Isaiah Thomas.
Orlando.
Say Bob Cousy.
I got Big
It's
O.
fucking
Oscar
wild.
Robertson.
Damn, that's 6.
Yeah, I got
That's
Bob Cousy
crazy.
towards the end. I might even take Bob Cousy off my fucking. Nah, let me leave my list the way it is for the sake of knowledge.
Asante.
This is where I got kid.
All
You
right.
not having Chris Paul
that's
this was
it.
blasphemous. I feel like this is borderline illegal. I'm gonna call a wellness check.
Oh, I don't have Chris Paul on my list yet either.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I don't have Chris Paul on my
That's
list
wild.
either.
You're Bob Cousy though.
And we're about to go into number.
Yo, yeah. First of all, no excuse there. You got Cousy. Oh God.
I'm okay with that, bro. I'll
Yeah,
take
I'm
the
not
L.
gonna
Listen, I
lie.
will take the L.
You don't
Right
have Chris Paul on your list?
here. No, I do. No, I was gonna say.
Oh, okay.
No, what I was gonna say is we're going into our 7th pick, and I still don't have Chris Paul. I have Isaiah Thomas as my 7th best point guard of all time.
I don't argue. I mean, we really
Under
argue
Bob
about he should be
Cousy.
higher or
What the
lower.
hell?
I feel like if you were to break your picks down, I could really see your criteria under 3 set of words. I can understand that over time. It's where you lose me, Cousy. It's absurd. Maybe I'm not old. I don't have enough grays. I don't have enough gray
Do
hairs
you have
to
a small forward
understand.
list already, guys? Do you
What
have
happened?
deadlift shrimp on it? Do you have deadlift shrimp on your small forward list?
No.
Okay, good.
No, we should do that though. What do you got, Tyler, at number 7?
Here I got Kid.
Wow.
Finally.
Orlando.
You guys rate Kid a lot higher than I rate Kid. That's for sure. I got Russell Westbrook. Oh no. Yeah, I got my bad. This is actually a switch I made. I actually got Russell at 6, and I got Oscar Robertson at 7. My bad. Because how could I put the guy who did it better over the guy who did it first? I mean, the guy who did it better is always going to be better than the guy who did it first.
I like that. That was popping.
Did he do it better though? But it's okay.
He did it for 3 seasons in a row.
That's only one thing that he did. That makes no sense, but it's okay.
One thing that no one's done. Okay. Go ahead. Let's not do it.
You're talking about he did it better, but he didn't do anything better because that's only one thing. That's not Oscar Robertson's entire career. His triple double isn't his entire career. But either way, Asante. Who's your number 7?
but it is Russell Westbrook's.
Exactly.
Are we considering?
Exactly.
Are we considering? Is AI? Is AI is he a shooting guard or a point guard in this?
I have him in my shooting guard list if we make one.
I didn't consider him point guard.
I say
he's in my
shooting guard too though. Okay, so what about Penny Hardaway? Shooting guard or point guard?
Point guard.
Shooting guard. Oh wow.
Give me
Penny
Penny
Hardaway
then.
just
Give me Penny. Yeah.
What the
Hell yeah.
hell?
Wow.
Hell yeah.
What?
Hell
the
yeah.
fuck?
That's
I'm gonna
insane.
say this is
This is crazy. I like him.
Where do you have
Think
Ron
that's
Harper on
spicy
your
real
list,
quick.
though, Asante?
Is that what?
Which of the next two is Ron Harper?
Oh yeah, right. I'm good. Penny Hardaway.
It has to be
Penny Hardaway.
Penny Hardaway.
No. Penny Hardaway was playing with his back to the basket. He was running the fast break. He was catching alley oops. He was hitting 3-pointers. He was hitting the mid range. He's running a pick and roll. He was setting picks. I'm sorry.
Breaking his leg.
You want to talk about
Damn,
like the
Tyler.
peak of Penny Hardaway is arguably one of the best players that we have on this list altogether. I'm sorry. He
I
can do
do
too
agree
much.
with that.
Whoa.
You can't, as far as
Really got
skills
his
go,
Whoa.
for 6 minutes.
he was disgusting. You can't create a scouting report for that. I think he's one of the first. I won't say one of the first, but he's a part of the early generation of guys that you can't create a scouting report for because they can quite literally do everything. I actually really wanted to put him higher, but the fact that these other guys distributed the ball so much better, I couldn't do it. But I think this is where I have the freak of nature at the
you have
point guard.
Kyrie Irving on this list, so that's
Please stop.
dial it back.
He's a freak.
Yeah, a distributor. Yeah,
But this supports that, you know what I'm saying? At least my list is consistent. Like, I believe in the freak
definitely
of
is.
nature.
That's for sure.
I believe in the freak of nature. You know, it's not as traditional. And I think, you know, again, this is just because my brain, like I tried to watch these old games, dude. I can't. The traditional point guard is, you know, probably in our hearts what we wanted as the development of the NBA goes. I just don't think it was like the best version of the point guard. When you start getting these combo guards like AI, like Penny, Ron, I think those are like the best version of the point guard, bro. I think that's when the point guard became attractive.
Yeah. Nah, but what's crazy is if this was like a real traditional point guard list, like you said, Rajon Rondo would be on that list hands down. Like
I don't
if it was
even
like
want
a
to go
real
there.
Number one.
traditional, huh?
He's
Rondo
on my
would be
list.
number one?
Stockton would be number one. Yeah, Stockton would be
Yeah,
number
Stockton
one.
would be number
Without
one.
a doubt.
Stockton would be number
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Chris Paul
Absolutely.
would
I
be
just
number
want
two.
to bring up
Rondo
the
would be
point that
somewhere.
Penny Hardaway was good for 4 years, and then we never heard from him again. So it's
This is why, and I like to. I don't want to say I want to shit on other players, but golly, if I had a list, Chris Paul is number one, Kawhi Leonard is number two, because Kawhi Leonard's years of greatness are so fucking short, and he gets so much credit, bro. He gets so much credit for being one of the greatest of the greatest small forwards, one of the greatest two-way players, one of the great.
but it's the same. It's the same exact way you're rating Penny Hardaway.
Exactly. This is
using-
a small forward list.
Okay, so
This
then
is a
Kawhi
small
Leonard's a
forward,
top
so
3
like-
small forward of all time.
Fuck no, he would be like 8, like I got Penny Hardaway.
Kawhi Leonard's prime was far better than Penny Hardaway's.
I think as far as accomplishments go,
yeah.
maybe even, but I don't think Kawhi Leonard was like the best small forward in the league or high on that list than Penny Hardaway was for point guards, in my opinion. I don't think you could name me 2 more point guards better than Penny Hardaway at what the fuck was happening in that time.
I figured out what the issue with
He
this
was
list is.
a freaking
Asante
legend,
misread it. Instead of all time, he took away the 2 L's. So it's top 10
Jesus.
PGs of a time.
I'm not even mad at that. Respectfully, I'm not even mad at that.
That's crazy.
I can't even be mad at that. Because at the end of the day,
but he just could never be on a top 10, though. He didn't play enough. It's like I wouldn't put T-Mac as a top 10 shooting guard. And he played.
To be honest, Penny Hardaway is like
You be smoking dick, Tyler.
No, Penny Hardaway was obviously a point guard. He played point guard his entire career.
He played point guard and was catching the lobs, bro. He was one of the easily one of the earliest point guards catching lobs.
Kind of.
Absolutely.
Really think about it.
Absolutely. He had handle, he had a jumper, he could distribute. You know, he wasn't he wasn't a plague. It was
you
a
don't think
fact.
Magic Johnson was the first unicorn?
First unicorn?
Like
I think
Who cares? But
Penny could out more.
I'm sorry, Penny.
Yeah, I think-
Penny's game was too versatile. He was literally Kyrie before Kyrie, but more athletic. You can almost, I can't even say Westbrook, but like I don't even know. There's so many guys that have
How
that
tall
game.
was Penny?
He's like
He's at
Shaq.
least 6'4".
6'7".
Yeah.
He's 6'7".
6'7". He's pretty big.
Yeah, he's
but
huge.
I mean,
He's huge.
even still though, he was big playing the point guard position. You know what I'm saying? He was like, and it wasn't like, because athletically he did so much for the game, especially on both sides of the ball, that you could argue he's one of those combo guards. But as far as I'm concerned, he looked like a point guard. He played like a point guard. He was a point guard. And on any given night,
That's how I feel about LeBron.
there aren't any other point guards that were on that night playing better than Penny Hardaway. Like, I don't care
this is
who it
now
is.
the top 10 point guards of 8-time list. I'm going to go ahead and change it on the screen for everybody.
Just hating on my list. That's so crazy.
Let's go ahead and go to number 8.
I mean, Dante's first half of the reason, but then he gives me the second half of the reason. I'm like, God damn it. I mean, on the first half, though.
Orlando, that's how we feel about you. That's what we go through every Thursday. That's what we go through, bro. I told you and Asante is going to get
First
along.
half,
Yeah.
bro, a genius the first half. The second half, I'm like, shit.
Shit.
Okay.
Why did I agree so early?
All right, we got number 8. For me, number 8 is Steve Nash.
For me, and I really hate doing this, it's Westbrook. But I hate it.
Yeah, he better be on your list. He better be on your list.
Orlando?
So this one, I literally just kind of looked at it stats-wise, and I couldn't really figure out who else I could throw on here. I kind of feel it's kind of fucked up that I did this to him, but I'm going to throw Bob Cousy. He's just always brought up in every circle I go to.
Hey, I'm just saying, this is not the second time. This is not the second time Bob Cousy's made a list. I'm just saying.
No, listen.
Orlando, you don't gotta explain yourself. You are making perfect sense.
No.
Fuck them. Fuck them.
You don't want to explain yourself. I'm going to explain myself. You know me.
Yeah,
what you said earlier, I like
real.
to die on hills. I love dying on hills. So anyways, the reason I chose him is just accolade-wise. Like, there's no way we could talk about point guards and being, like, best in your generation or whatever if we can't take the NBA as a whole and still show love to these players that played the game, even if it's not the same game we watch now. I mean, at the rate of how they play it. But he's still a pivotal part of what made the NBA the NBA. He won a bunch of championships with Bill Russell. You know, he's arguably, at his time, the best point guard. So you got to show flowers or something like that. And that's for sure. I'm showing flowers. That's me showing flowers right here. For sure.
Who you got, Asante?
Rajon Rondo.
Man, what the?
Yeah, buddy. I
Oh,
can't
Bro,
do
he
it.
went like 3 years.
Can't do it.
He went like
Can't
3
do it.
years, but he didn't even play on a team. And then went back.
If you
with the
close
Lakers
your
and won a
eyes
championship.
and you build your NBA blacktop team using all the players in the world, your point guard can't be a shooter. You got to give everybody else a chance. Who are you going to pick to run your offense? I won't.
Huh?
I'd
How
rather
about
get
that?
John Stockton, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd,
I won't.
Oscar Robertson. I'd rather get everybody.
Chris Paul.
Give me Rajon
Chris
Rondo, buddy.
Paul.
He played both sides. I think he was
Magic Johnson.
as far as you want to talk about like instant catalyst, instant offense, instant impact. He was on the Celtics for a few years before he really blew into the player that he was. But when they actually started getting some real playoff time, I mean, it was like this is the first time I watched in real time a flip get switched. I think this was the first time that I had heard or I had seen a 2020 game. For Kevin Garnett to be this abrasive person, Paul Pierce to already be, the status that he was, for everybody to be the status that they was and to willingly submit to a young kid, I think it was a year 4, year 5 guy, for them to give him the keys.
I gotta give him that.
I'm sorry, bro.
Okay.
You got to imagine the level of genius you got to have for veterans, people that are making the run to the chip, to not only trust you with their entire team, but then for the next 3 years, and you guys actually get some winning done. He's Chris Paul, except he fucking won. He won.
I'm gonna give you some credit. You haven't convinced me that he's top 10, but you've convinced me not to argue with you. That's as far as you.
Okay,
go.
I'll take that.
I don't think we have to change this again.
Yeah. Just leave it there. Leave it there. Don't continue.
We have to change
I'm
this
gonna
to
learn this
PGs at the
myself,
time.
too.
It can't be top 10.
Yeah.
Take away the top 10.
I like
please.
it.
This
I
has to
that.
be PGs at the time.
PG, point guards of a time.
PGs of a time.
Point guards of a time.
Yeah, right.
Just cannot-
Rajon Rondo.
Rondo
When
cannot
Derrick
be top
Rose-
10. This is
Derrick
illegal.
Rose was getting comparisons to be the best Chicago Bull ever. He was on pace to being one of the
And
best
Rondo
player
was
ever
locking that shit
in real
up.
time.
Rondo was
In real
locking that
time.
shit up
This
in
is-
real
this
time.
is-
I remember
Rondo.
that. Rondo had his number.
Everybody
I remember that.
who said Derrick Rose is going to be the greatest player in NBA history saw that game against Rondo and went back and redacted statements in less than 24 hours. Rajon
They
Rondo
should've.
made it seem Rajon Rondo was the Achilles heel for every developing point guard in the league for at least 4 years straight. He picked apart the Lakers defense, who was one of the best defenses at the time. He picked apart. Was it Miami? Was that the Miami
No,
series?
He didn't do that.
It was
Not
Cleveland.
successfully.
At least one of those teams. LeBron
It was
James.
the Cavaliers. It was a LeBron team. It was a LeBron.
The
James
LeBron
Cavaliers
teams.
team. I know exactly.
Picked them
what you're talking
apart,
about.
bro.
They were the best offensive
Picked them
team
apart.
in the league at one point. Yeah,
Picked them apart, bro.
The best shooting team in NBA.
I think Anderson Varejao. I think there was another player on his team. They were like all defensive third or all defensive second. And I think
Rondo was only good on the Celtics. So what? How was he on the Mavericks, the Kings?
Didn't he get a chip with the Lakers? Didn't he get a chip with? And he played and he started. And he started. This is like back 9.
He didn't start though.
Yes, he started in the playoffs. He started in the playoffs.
No,
he wasn't starting in the season.
Now Rondo led the league in assists in Sacramento.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about.
I didn't know that.
And he went to the playoffs that year with Jimmy Butler and Dwayne Wade in Chicago, as well.
I don't think Rondo's top 10. I don't think so at all. I get it though. Like I understand it.
And he did it in the traditional way, where traditional point guards were starting to bleed out, bro. Like there weren't too many. And he did all that shit without a jumper.
He's the last one.
Oh man, he's the last traditional point guard.
Wait, Asante,
last one.
Real quick. in the playoffs where they won, he averaged 4 points a game, and he didn't start once.
That's not his job.
He only played
that's
16 minutes.
Not to score.
Yeah, bro, but Rondo.
Yeah, but that's a factor. That is a factor to your greatness. If you're not a good scorer, that's a factor. All these point guards, a lot of these point guards that we've already mentioned are literally to the same caliber of Rondo when it comes to playmaking, and they can score better than him.
So, I don't know.
I disagree.
Rondo could be the smartest. I think Rondo's the smartest person on this list.
Without shadow of a doubt.
I don't think he's smart, but I think he's very smart.
When it comes to IQ, I hold LeBron. I mean, I fucking sound like a LeBron sexual at this point, but I hold LeBron as one of the smartest players ever, and right under him, I gotta throw Rondo.
If we're discussing a tier of playmaking ability, Rondo is in the same tier as Steve Nash.
No.
Hell no. I'm gonna tell you why.
100%, yes. 100%, yes.
Saying that everybody else is a better scorer I don't think that's true. I think everybody else used scoring in their game. Rajon Rondo. It's not even that he didn't. Not that he couldn't score. He didn't score. Like his impact was passing the ball
because he couldn't.
And still, they couldn't stop that. What do you mean?
Steve Nash's impact was passing the ball, but he still put the ball in the hoop. John Stockton is the greatest passer of all time, and he still put the ball in the hoop.
Rajon Rondo couldn't put the ball in the hoop and still got 20. He still was giving 15, 20 assists in a night, and he couldn't score.
So was Steve Nash. So was John Stockton.
Yeah, but Rondo also was a high-level defender, like a very, very high-level defender, and was smart on defense.
So was Stockton.
Well,
so was Stockton. So was Jason Kidd.
Not like Rondo.
So was Chris Paul.
Well, this is
where the generational things kind of mess me up because a lot of these older cats that you're talking about, they weren't playing at the time where the point guard was the perennial position on the court. Rajon Rondo is playing with arguably the hardest ring of point guards the league has ever seen.
Well, Derrick Rose was an MVP.
But they were also playing at a switch.
He was the best point guard
where you couldn't have help. So if they were getting cooked, they had to defend that person. If Stockton was guarding Johnson, nobody was helping Stockton. Stockton had to guard him. It was one-on-one defense.
Yeah, but Stockton.
I can give you that, but that's Stockton on Johnson. That's Stockton on Johnson. That's not Stockton. That's not Stockton on like the Cavs. At that time, ass team. That's Stockton against one of the best. Rondo was playing everybody, and he was better than everybody every time they played.
At point guard.
He was better than everyone.
He even gave. I hate to agree with him, but he's arguably just as smart on defense as well. That's what I'm trying to harp at. A lot of these guys are not as smart. Like they are good defenders, but not as smart as him on defense.
Yeah, we didn't say nothing about his IQ, but we're discussing the fact that to compare him to these other point guards is unfair because these other point guards half of the ones we've mentioned already are elite, legendary passers and playmakers, just like Rondo is, but they contributed in far other areas, which is why the majority of these point guards have either MVPs to their names, far more All-NBA appearances, far more All-Star appearances,
There's somebody
or
up
far
here
more
who's high with no
championships.
chips. Ain't there somebody up here with no chips? That's all I'm saying.
First of all, you
my
heard
dog
everything I
got
said.
two.
More All-NBA appearances, more All-NBA appearances, more All-Star appearances. Some of these guys have more MVPs. Rondo has none. Like, these guys are actually...
Longevity is a big thing.
Rajon Rondo didn't, like
There was
Jeff
never a
Teague-
time in Rondo's life he was going to compete for an MVP.
Never. I gotta agree.
There
with
was
that.
a time
That's
where he
Healthy
there
or
was a
not,
time where
Rajon
he-
Rondo was never an MVP player.
he was damn near finals MVP player.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
So was
He's
Andre
never
Iguodala.
been
Paul Pierce, though.
So was Andre Iguodala.
I don't like that. I don't like what you're doing there. I don't like what you're doing.
If Finals MVP is
To
what
me,
we're
all the
using,
time.
if
I
Finals
like what you're
MVP
doing
is
there.
what we're gonna use to outweigh, then Andre Iguodala is on the top 10 small forwards of all time. Then, like that's
Finals
that's-
MVP and
that's not
finals
enough.
appearances. Rajon
Not
Rondo
good.
is a more
That's
vetted
good.
champion than half this list. Literally. Rajon Rondo has more championship
because he played.
and winning
It was
experience.
called a Boston Big Three for a reason.
I'm not trying to hear that because
What
that
was the
argument
big
doesn't get
four?
used for
What
Magic
one?
Johnson. When it's Magic Johnson,
Not a
you
big
talk
four.
about his other perennial talent. We're like,
Magic
you don't even talk
Johnson
about
was
their
the
other
best
perennial
player
talent.
on the Big Three.
But
Rajon
Rondo wasn't part of
Rondo-
the big three. Rondo was the fourth person out of the big three.
And he made everybody else better. That's what I'm saying. Paul Pierce isn't having a season like that. KG isn't having a season like that. Ray Allen
So
isn't
you
having a
don't-
season like
so
that.
you
If
don't
Eddie
think-
House is their point guard.
So you don't think if you put Steve Nash on the Big Three that they're not gonna win
I'm
more
not
than one
putting,
championship?
I'm not fuck that. Talk about the point guard they did have, which was Eddie House.
All right,
Those
well,
three
what
guys
Paul-
are not
what
going
are
to
we
be
gonna
those
do?
three guys with Eddie House. I'm saying you needed a Rajon.
It,
The reason
No,
Paul
I
Pierce, KG,
I
Ray
understand
Allen-
his
agree with
value. I'm just
I'm gonna
comparing
agree
his
with that.
value to the other point guards on this list that deserve to be on it more than Rondo.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with
Chris
him
Paul
though.
on
Without
there, they
Rondo,
probably win too.
that team's not a championship team. That team's
Yeah,
not
just
winning
like
a
they're
just like
championship
every
without
other
Rondo.
championship team, without one of their best players, they're not a championship team. That doesn't mean anything. My point is, he doesn't deserve it as much as the other guys that are being
He
left
just
out.
did.
He's not being he that doesn't put him over some of the guys that are being left out, because some of the other guys that are being left out, or some of the guys that are already even on the list, are obviously superior point guards than Rondo. I think like it's easy to say that
disagree.
Rondo for a stretch was a phenomenal point guard, but his career did not last at that caliber for that long.
everybody
It's just, I think
above.
Rondo's
Talking
the
about Rondo,
intangibles,
that was only
bro.
averaging 10 and 6. He was only given 6 assists at that point. He was still very, very young. He was not the Rondo that we know now.
Yeah, but like the
At the time that they
intangibles,
won
like
the
being
championship.
like, and I hate to even bring it to this because I mean a lot of these players on this list are good leaders, but like he was a leader to championship teams. Like he was a big piece of that Lakers
Got the
team
keys.
when it comes
They
to
gave him the
leadership
keys.
Or
roles
the KG.
with the leadership position. He was a big he was a leader on that Celtics team.
I
He
don't
led
think
their offense.
KG. I don't think
Like,
KG was
you
telling
gotta
them
kinda
what
give him
plays
that.
to run and where to go. I think he was giving them energy, right? I think KG
Yeah,
was energy.
I think a lot of
KG
energy.
was setting
That's
the
his
tone,
career.
but I don't think he was dictating the
Yeah.
type of basketball that they were playing.
Yeah, but
Rajon Rondo is the
that's what all
reason.
point guards are
Tempo and
supposed to do.
everything.
That's what all point guards are supposed to do.
But he did
Good-
that like
good
on an
point
elite
guards.
level with
He
elite
did that.
players.
Elite level, elite players, and it translated to winning, unlike some people on this list.
Chris Paul never did that, and I gotta agree with him on that.
Chris
Never
Paul did
translated
not
to
have
winning.
Paul
elite
Pierce,
players like
Kevin
that.
Garnett, and Ray Allen.
Bro, Paul, he had Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, Jamal Crawford. Come on, stop doing that.
Fucking do.
None of those
Whoop-de
are
fucking do.
comparable.
That's
Hey,
not
none of
comparable.
How is that not? You're talking about you're comparing their
None of
maybe
those three
careers.
players were better.
Ray Allen is a top 10 shooting guard of all time, debatably. Maybe off the top 10, just close
Okay,
enough.
see, you're going
Paul
careers.
Pierce,
I'm
top
talking
10
about
small
what they
forward
were
of all
at the
time.
time.
Kevin Garnett,
That's
top
why- okay.
5 power forward of all time.
At the time, in
Yeah,
that
but who
year,
they
when
were
Chris
at the
Paul was
time,
playing next to when he was playing
their
next to
careers
Blake
were
Griffin
coming
and
down to
playing
an
next to
end.
DeAndre Jordan, DeAndre Jordan was the best center in the league. He was, I think, number 2 in DPOY. We mentioned this. So you're talking about
Yeah,
players in their
Blake
careers
was the best
all
power
time,
forward in the
but
league.
at the time, Blake Griffin was the best power forward. DeAndre Jordan was the best center. Jamal Crawford was 6-man. Not only 1 year, but I think 2 out of the 3 years he finished top 3 in that
DeAndre
shit.
Jordan was never the best center in the NBA, but Paul.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
He was a
Blake
top.
Griffin, I
Blake
He was
understand.
a top 5 center. He was a top 5.
You're
Blake
crazy.
Griffin wasn't number one because
That's not what he said.
DeAndre
That's not what he
Jordan-
said. Let's not change it now. 'Cause that's not what he
I
said.
said no. I said DeAndre Jordan was one of the best centers in the league.
You said he was the best. You said he was the best.
I did say he was the best.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
gonna redact that statement. I'm gonna say top 3 though, because in defensive category, he voted top 5 in DPOY 2 out of the
Now
3
we're on the
years
same
that they
page.
had.
I rebuttal to what you said first. Now we're on the same page. I understand that. My
At the
point
end of the day, Chris Paul had some of the best talent in the league.
He
With
had
one
more
of the
players
best
in their
coaches
prime
in the
than
league.
Rondo did.
Come on.
Rondo had way
I
more
got
because
you.
you're not even accounting for
And I got,
Boogie.
yeah,
You're not accounting for
yeah,
Anthony
but Boogie
Davis.
wasn't. Yeah, but
You're
that's
not
not
accounting for
Devin
LeBron.
Booker.
You're not accounting for
He
Luka.
won.
You're not accounting for Dirk.
He won with.
All you have is
Devin
Devin Booker. That's it. Devin Booker and James Harden.
James Harden,
Are you
Devin
serious?
Booker, Blake
I'm talking
Griffin was
about just-
arguably the best power forward at the time. Like I get what he's saying.
Even with
Chris Paul
his
had a
even
lot
with his
of
stint with the
second
Rockets was
power
crazy.
forward behind
being the
Anthony
best
Davis.
player at a specific point in your career is not the same as having a player who was the best at their position throughout their entire careers. There's levels to it. You cannot compare a Kevin Garnett to a Blake Griffin in no world. Just because
The
Blake
only reason you
Griffin-
can't compare it is because Kevin Garnett got the wins. He got the rings. If
because
Blake
Blake
Griffin
Griffin
got
was
2
in
rings,
the-
if Blake Griffin got 2 rings, that's a much closer conversation than what you're saying right now.
Exactly.
Blake Griffin got
the
But
board.
Griffin was
Kevin
That's what I'm
Garnett
saying.
was a
You can't say
winner.
that Kevin Garnett is just this outstandingly better career or outstandingly better player because he had a better he finished better at the finish line. Because if by
No,
the finish
because
line,
a million things he did was better than Blake Griffin. A
a
million things.
million.
He was
Fuck
he
no.
was one of the best
Fuck
defenders this
no.
league has ever seen. He was a better rebounder.
Fuck
He was a
no.
better versatile player. He was a better shooter. He was a better almost
Better
everything.
versatile player.
He was
Kevin
just as good of a
Garnett-
scorer.
Versatile.
If you put their skills in a vacuum,
not
just as
versatile?
good of a
Kevin
scorer,
Garnett?
you're smoking crack. You're smoking crack. Blake Griffin could hit the 3. He had a mid game. He had back to the basket. He was catching lobs.
Blake Griffin wasn't hitting the
he
three
was
until after Chris Paul
He
left.
could drive off the dribble.
Blake Griffin wasn't a perennial 3-point shooter till after CP3 left, but if they needed him to knock down the shot, he was at least going to take it. KG would too, but Blake Griffin was literally running the break, ball in
KG had to
hand.
get set up a lot.
So was
KG
KG
was
though.
more of a setup.
K-
Like has to
KG
get set up
also
by
did
KG
point guard.
on the Celtics.
No. He fuck no, not like no Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin was
You're
getting
thinking
it.
of
He was getting
end
it.
of his Celtics era. Think of 2008, not end of year, not 2010.
So
when
if
they're
we're
injured,
gonna
2011,
use
think
the
2008
if we're gonna use
specifically.
years
Was
outside the
Blake
time that
Griffin
they
even in
played
the
against
league?
each other, then let's talk about Blake Griffin at Detroit because Blake Griffin at Detroit looked like God.
Baby
You want to
Braun.
talk about?
Baby
You
Braun.
want to talk about?
That's what I
You
call
talk
that.
about
Blake
2008
Griffin in Detroit was
Timberwolves?
Baby Braun.
Oh my
That's it.
God, him in Detroit was he. I don't know how
He
he
wasn't
didn't
even
get
healthy
tested
in
and
Detroit.
banned for PEDs. He didn't even get to play all the
Bro, he
way,
wasn't even
and he
healthy.
almost took them to the
He wasn't even
playoffs.
healthy.
Dude was hitting step back threes. I mean, he lost weight to do what he had to do for Pistons, bro. If you want to talk about any other
He
year,
doesn't want to get
those
injured
two
anymore.
played together.
Because he's been injury prone his whole career, and that's why they don't win.
Listen,
Because
I'm
all
just
of the
saying,
stars
Blake-
that CP3
I'm not
has
trying. I'm not
get
trying.
injured.
I'm not trying to say Blake Griffin is not a phenomenal player, but you have to understand the comparison in teammates is not the same. Just because a player was great during a period of time does not mean he compares to someone like Kevin Garnett. It does not mean
Oh man.
DeAndre compares to somebody like Paul Pierce. And it doesn't mean Jamal Crawford compares to Ray Allen because in a period of time they had a really good. These guys had really good careers and brought that experience into the.
You know what's crazy?
Okay, so now if we're talking
You know
about
what's crazy?
careers and finish line,
They had the
we're
same exact coach. They had the same exact coach for both teams.
One with championship
They ran the
experience.
Same offense for both teams.
Come
I'm
on,
just
one with
saying.
championship experience. Now, if you
I
want to
mean-
talk
Let's
about
bring this back together.
accolades
Let's
by
bring
the
this
Same
back
first
together.
kind of point guard.
yeah.
Arguably the same kind of point guard too. And they
But
won
one
with
with
one.
much
And
more
they did not have
did it with
the same
another.
type of starting. The Big Three was a far superior line than the Lob City Clippers. Come
I
on.
literally I think I don't disagree with you. I just think you think the gap is way too fucking big, bro.
Between the big Celtics and
That'd be
the
my
Clippers?
half the time.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's way too big.
That big.
Yeah, that's not that big. I'm sorry, buddy. No,
That's huge
that
to
has
me.
been not that big. Fuck no. This is a team that was going to the Eastern. They were a Western Conference favorite every year for like 5 years.
Yeah, they
Every
were.
year.
They were.
It's not like they
Versus
had
a team that was a
The
finals
Lakers.
favorite every year. Like what?
They were not a finals favorite every year. Kobe Bryant was a finals favorite when they were playing, bro.
No, I'm talking about
Celtics
to
were
go
not
to
a
the finals.
favorite.
I'm going to talk about to go to the finals. The Clippers were not the team that was going to be picked to go out of for 5 years. Maybe
single year.
maybe 2, and they got injured.
Bro,
They were
We're
definitely a high
Clippers-
higher
the
echelon
Clippers-
Clipper team.
the Clippers in any other generation, they got a better chance at winning. They win against prime Steph Curry. They win against prime James Harden.
And they got
I don't know.
injured while
Chris-
they did that.
Chris Paul.
And
Chris
you're
Paul
not
had,
even,
he had
you're not
enough
even talking
chances.
about OKC. You're not talking about that OKC
Oh my
teams. You're not talking about
god!
the Spurs
oh my
teams.
god!
You're not talking about
oh my
the Spurs
god!
teams.
Chris Paul
Yo,
had
he
Chris
just
Paul
released-
had a chance,
yeah.
bro. Chris Paul had a
Yeah.
chance and he
They
didn't
did
get it
beat
done,
the
bro.
Spurs.
Huh?
Once.
They beat
Did
the
they?
Spurs. They just got injured while beating them, and then they lost.
Yeah,
Again.
I'm good. I'm good, bro.
They're
Rajon
cursed.
Rondo.
Chris Paul's not
Rajon
bad,
Rondo.
but they're cursed.
Listen, we're stuck
Chris-
on number 9 still. All right, so let's get on with this
Let's go.
shit. Chris Paul
do
done
it.
passed about 3-4 picks ago. We're still talking about him.
Let's
Let's go with our number 9. For me, I have this is where our good old friend Chris Paul finally cracks the list for me.
All right. I ain't
There
mad
we
at
go.
that. I'm
And
not
for
mad at
me,
that at all.
Kyrie Irving.
Oh man, Kyrie didn't
What?
even get on this.
What?
There goes some Bob
Ah,
Cousy-esque
man.
love. As I'm
Tyler.
confused on why he's on here twice.
Tyler. I'm really not happy with you, Tyler.
Who's your number
Well,
9,
I'm-
Orlando?
J Kid.
Golly. What about you, Asante?
Oh, I thought you said Jenkins. I thought you said like Earl Jenkins. It's like what the
I'm crying.
Nah, bro.
Let me
But
get
this one
youngest
I'ma say Michael
MVP
Redd.
ever.
Who?
Let me get the youngest MVP ever.
Oh God.
Whoa.
Let's do
it.
He stole the
Open it
MVP.
up.
That was
Open it
highway
up.
robbery.
I understand his
Open it up.
ranking though. I
Open
fully
it
understand
Open
Asante's
it up.
ranking. Asante only looked at peaks, not longevity. Just their peak. Where were they at?
Yeah, that's what it seems
I can
like.
give
I
you
know.
that. I can give you that because the only reason it's so hard for me to do the whole longevity thing or maybe longevity being a more weighted category for me is a lot of these guys face injury and a lot of these guys face terrible circumstance. So it's like if you're giving me that person at that pick that night, a lot of these guys aren't fucking with them.
Asante, my list would have been more like yours before I had a conversation with Nas.
Yo, that's
would
they
you
get
pick-
you. Nas and Tyler been doing that to me for years, my nigga. Fuck them. Nah, hell no.
So
I don't
my
consult
list
with them niggas no
usually
more.
my list usually goes for like the player at that season. Like Steph Curry,
Yeah.
arguably unanimous MVP.
I got an
That's why
idea,
he's
then.
number one. Then I usually go by players in the season. Like the best player I ever saw in my life, LeBron sexual, was LeBron. Miami
You guys-
Heat, the second year.
You guys have to
Best player
understand.
I've ever seen in my life.
You guys have to
Ever.
understand how
Ever.
ranking players that way doesn't make sense because it is an all-time
Why?
point guards list. It is not a when you were at your best list. I am looking at you when throughout your entire career, could you sustain this? Could you do this from the day you started to the day you ended? And if you got injured, that is unfortunate. I understand that's not
Most
a choice
teams
you
don't.
made, but at the end of the day, it's going to impact your stock. That's how it works.
The reason why
I don't
care
disagree
about
with
that
you from a
longevity
business
stuff,
perspective.
yeah, I don't either.
Uh-huh.
But when I'm looking at like if I want to win, a lot of these players like in their peak with the right team, they're winning. And most teams, most
Everybody on this
franchises
list.
don't win
That
two
applies-
championships.
That applies to everybody.
No, hold
Everybody
on.
on this list.
Most championships, most franchises don't win more than two championships in 10 years. So the fact that some of these like most of these players after that 3 or 4 drops off to like 1 or 2 or 3 championships tells you a lot about this list. If we took player for pound by pound, like season by season, this list is different by a long shot. Like by
So for
far
me, I
with
look
the list.
at Magic, Big O, Stockton, Isaiah Thomas, Kuzi. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around it because of the attrition that's required in their 10 or 12-year careers. They're not having to run through 4 or 5 screens chasing somebody. They're not having to go 94 feet all the like full speed all the fucking time. I literally tried to watch these guys, and so much of their careers, so much of their minutes, so much of their time spent on the court is not playing at full speed. A lot of these guys, I mean, offense, you had to they went into their sets, but their sets weren't that fast. Their sets were like 1-2 passes,
so
get to the best
good.
player, get the fuck out the way.
Yeah.
Somebody like Derrick
And they're
Rose,
so
somebody
much
like
better than
Jason
their
Kidd,
counterpart.
swear. Somebody like these I don't like seeming like I'm a newer generation biased kind of guy, but it's so
'Cause you
hard for
are.
me not to consider. It's just hard for me to use time as a heavier category because of the way the game is played right now. If you
Here's
look at a
something-
game in 1985 and 2025 looks like a car accident that's about to happen, yo. That's how
Here's
fast
no
and
one-
hard they're playing.
Here's a
I have
perspective
a
that I want
question
you to
after Nas,
understand.
after you have something.
Here's a perspective that I want you to understand. This is why I don't consider that in my decision making, because when you look at the eras and how the game was played in that era, it cannot be held against that player that the game was played a different way during the time that they played, because at the end of the day, they were brought up to learn the game that way from the moment they started playing basketball. So they don't know what basketball looks like if it's faster, if it's more athletic, if there's more shooting. They don't know what that looks like. So what we view as difficult to guard at this and in this generation, because of how athletic, how much shooting, how much fast breaks there are, what we view as difficult to guard and difficult to learn and to be great in this era, that's what they viewed basketball as in their era. And they adapted to what basketball was in their era. If you try to get these guys to play a different way, we don't know whether they be good or whether they be bad. So yeah, you can say, oh, the game was slower, more half-court sets. Guys weren't as athletic as they are in this generation. They're not shooting the amount of threes that they are in this generation. Not enough screens, blah, 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 blah. You don't know if the best players of this generation could accommodate themselves to how basketball was played back then, with how different the game was and how differently not only they would have to play, but the team around them would also have to play.
To your point, I wholeheartedly agree with your point. I'm going to create a counter argument for a lot of my list. With that being said, like you said, the game just wasn't molded around whatever the fuck that old heads be saying. These guys didn't get the chance to have a 10 or 12-year career because of the way the game is played. So it's hard for me to use 10, 12 years and be like, aha. When really, you're not going to see a whole lot of 10, 12-year careers going forward. Not only is the skill level getting so fucking thin or so high that people get weeded out quick, but then you got the way the game is played. It's so hard on the body that a lot of these guys they're not going to be able to get the time.
Time out, real quick. 2 seconds, because I want to expound on what you're saying. You could take Ray Allen and put him in what the NBA is now, and he's a bigger caveat of a player and what he brings to a team than putting Ray Allen back in 2008, where he's a third option. That's where I can agree with him. You can take certain players, and if you have this play style that they play now,
literally,
they're a better player maybe than the player that was deemed better than them at the time.
100.
I could see that. I can see that.
My pound for pound is a little bit shorter of a window because, there's more instances like Derrick Rose than there are Bob Cousy. There's more instances of Penny Hardaway than there are a big Oscar Robinson. You know what I'm saying? Where maybe their gear was for their time really garbage. So, a lot of niggas lost their cartilage in their knees at younger ages overall. But at the end of the day, the way the game was played, it preserved the player so much. Like foul calls, back then were egregious. A lot of people like to use these highlights of these really major, aggressive, generational plays. But if you really actually sit down and watch one game, the foul calling was egregious. Like they weren't falling, flopping, hitting hardwood. You said what happened?
Stars would get all the time, just like now. It's the same thing. Star players.
Yeah, no. I'm not talking about frequency. I'm talking about what is happening. Like back then,
the calls are more. There's more calls now than there were back then. Like literally.
Way more calls
more
now,
calls.
yes, in frequency, but the type of call that's getting called back then. Like back then, you're gonna get the shoulder bump. Nowadays, it's gotta hurt. It's gotta really look like something. But nowadays, the game is so fucking fast and hard that it does hurt and it does look like something. But back then, bro, you can literally like the calls favor the offense so fucking hard. I mean, you could just bump, angle, tweet, you're going. Every time they didn't really allow the fouls to transition all the way up into these. Every time you go for a layup, you're hitting hardwood. Nowadays, if you're going up, you're hitting hardwood. Back then, you're getting the call before you have to hit the hardwood.
Most of the rules have been changed literally in the NBA is to speed up the NBA, and it's all been for offense, transitional fouls. A lot these last 2 years they've kind of tried to even it out. But the NBA, when it became super popular, was if the best player gets hit, the best player goes to the line. It was get the 3-point shooting. If they keep trying to hack a Shaq, they took hacking a Shaq away. I remember hack a Shaq wasn't just for Shaq; it was for players who couldn't shoot free throws, and they would run that shit. Like Popovich made a career off that shit. So, like, a lot of the offensive rules that changed were tweaked to make the league better offensively.
For example, who do you think hit the ground more often, Steve Nash or Bob Cousy? I'll answer that for you. Steve Nash is hitting the hardwood 10 times more often. 10 times more often, bro. Steve Nash probably he ate pavement more than anybody. We can argue that. But at the end of the day, he didn't get the chance to be a 10. Yeah, he didn't get the chance to play a decade and a half, 15, years like these other guys who have the stats, who have this opportunity. They got 12 opportunities. Steve Nash had like 5. And he's getting beat the fuck up the whole time. So it's like it's hard for me to do the longevity, and a lot of my list is pound for pound. Bro, literally.
So we can agree to disagree. Let's wrap up this list with our last choice of the day. At my number 10, this is where my arch nemesis finally makes it, Russell Westbrook.
I don't know why you hate him.
For me, I finally found a spot for him. I have Steve Nash.
Crazy. Tyler. I don't know. Steve Nash. Crazy, Tyler. He just didn't go far enough in the playoffs for me. Steve Nash is number 10 for me as well.
Yeah, he has 2 MVPs, though, and that's why he's up there.
Yeah, literally, he didn't go far enough.
I'm going to go Russ on this one.
Wow. We can finally agree with something. All right, well, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is our top 10 point guards of a time, courtesy of Asante himself.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Before we wrap it up, can you guys even see the list, or is it too blurry on your end?
I can see it somewhat.
It'd be going in and out, but I can see for sure.
So if you had to pick somebody's most outrageous choice, who would it be?
We all know who it is.
My choice would be Assante with Kyrie Irving as the 4th best point guard of all time. That's my choice. There's no way.
I'm going Penny Hardaway at 7. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, that's
it's all good. I understand. I get everybody's scale. With that being said,
another good one.
Go ahead. What's yours, Tyler?
No, I said okay. That would be another one. That's what he said. No, the Penny Hardaway at 7.
Oh, that would be yours.
Okay,
that shit's crazy.
Damn, really?
Mine is Chris Paul for every goddamn body.
No, I already said the Kyrie.
Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Why you guys do that? Get him off this list, bro. He doesn't deserve it.
The highest he got was 5. He got 5th in Tyler's list and Orlando's list.
He should be 11 on everybody's.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. All right, ladies and gentlemen. That is it. That is our top 10 point guards of all time.
Being on the list. Should we talk about?
We might try to get this together and do it for the other positions as well, man. Shout out to Asante for joining us. I don't know if I told you. I did say it at the beginning. You prompted this entire episode. This entire thing was because of what you said in a fantasy draft chat.
I was on one that night. Fuck it. I'm throwing shit. I got all kind of. I got
Definitely
both.
want Asante
But
back
shout-
more often. I like Asante.
Shout out to
Yes, sir.
Asante
Thank you,
for
Pluto.
twin.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Nas.
Before we head out, man, give the people some usernames, some tags. Where can they find you? Where can they follow you?
All Machines on everything. I'm on Twitch. I'm on Twitter. All Machines. That's really the
With a
main
C,
two
with
things
a
that I
Z,
use.
right? No,
With a Z, yeah. ALLMAI or MACHINEZ. All Machines. You can find me on absolutely everything.
we appreciate you for stopping by, man. If you guys made it this far, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you go follow Asante and all his platforms. We
I
are
will be
done.
back.
Hoop Talk plus Asante out. Deuces.